Subscribe to my channel. Sit down, my father said, wearing that familiar, phony blend of authority and sympathy. My mother forced a polite smile. My brother already had his phone pointed at me, recording like this was some kind of family entertainment. I sat anyway. Sometimes silence can cut deeper than any shouted argument. Dad pushed a thin envelope across the table. Here, he said flatly. Time for you to stop dragging everyone down and start fresh somewhere else. Mom nodded, her voice dripping with rehearsed sweetness. It's $2,000, sweetheart. Enough to rent a tiny place. Maybe now you'll finally learn what responsibility feels like. I stared at the envelope, at my name written neatly on the front, like they were labeling a parcel they were eager to ship out. My brother snickered. Come on, sis. Smile. This is what generosity looks like. Dad leaned back, confident and condescending. Honestly, this is about all you're ever going to be worth. I looked him straight in the eye and smiled. Steady, intentional. Then I guess you've been underestimating me for a long time. They burst out laughing, brushing it off as some kind of joke. My brother even zoomed in, hoping for a dramatic reaction shot. I slipped the envelope into my pocket. Thanks, I said quietly. You have no idea how meaningful this is. And it was. Not the money, it was nothing to me now. But their arrogance, their assumptions, their complete blindness to the truth, it was perfect. Let them record it. Let them post it. Because in less than a day, they'd find out just how wrong they'd been about my value. And their faces when the truth hit? That would be priceless. By the next morning, the video had exploded online. My brother uploaded it with a lovely caption. When your parents finally kick out their freeloading sister. He even added the money with wings emoji. Within hours, it had thousands of views, people laughing, mocking, calling me lazy, spoiled, ungrateful. Mom texted me the link. See what happens when you disappoint your family? Maybe this will teach you to be humble. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I was sitting in a boardroom on the top floor of a downtown skyscraper, finishing the paperwork to sell my startup, a wellness app one had quietly built over the last 3 years. The acquisition was finalized yesterday. $10.4 million had hit my account before I even ate dinner. While the internet laughed at me, I was transferring funds into my new holding company. There was no anger, just a calm, almost amused detachment. When the lawyer congratulated me, I smiled. Thank you. Just one more thing, I said, sliding a document toward him. Add my parents and brother to the restricted list. No shares, no access, no acknowledgements. He raised a brow. Family issues? Let's call it clarity. As I walked out, I checked my brother's feed again. He had pinned the video to the top of his profile. Perfect. No comments, no posts, no explanations. Let them laugh for now. Because very soon, in the most public way possible, they would learn exactly who the real freeloader was and who had been carrying them the whole time. 3 days later, the story broke, first on the financial blogs. The local wellness app had just been bought for $10.4 million, and although the founder's identity was still hidden, rumors kept spreading. My company, Sarahite, trended everywhere, yet no one realized I was the person behind it. Not yet, anyway. That evening, I stopped by my parents' house for dinner, the first time I'd been there since receiving the envelope. Mom looked surprised to see me. Dad's expression was already annoyed. What are you doing here? He demanded. I came to say thank you, I replied calmly, setting the same envelope on the table. You were right. I needed a fresh start. My brother let out a smug laugh. Oh, come on. You move into some cheap apartment and suddenly you think you've matured. I offered him a small smile. Something like that. Mom picked up the envelope, frowning. You didn't even spend the money. Oh, I did, I said. Just not in the way you imagined. My phone vibrated. A notification from my lawyer popped up. Public ownership announcement scheduled for 7 p.m. I checked the time. 6:59. A second later, Dad's phone chimed. Then my brother's. Then Mom's. Her face instantly drained. No, this can't be real. Their screens refreshed with the new headline. Sarahite founder revealed. 26-year-old CEO Mia Carter. Dad stared at me, stunned. My brother's hand shook as he lowered his phone. I took a sip of water. Looks like my restart went pretty well. For the first time in my life, the room was silent and I was the only one smiling. Dad was the first to speak. You're that Mia Carter? The one they write about. I nodded. The same one you said wouldn't amount to anything. Mom forced a nervous laugh. Honey, why didn't you tell us? We could have supported. I know, I cut in gently. Except you didn't. You said baking was a hobby, coding was a phase, and that I should get a real job. My brother muttered. Nobody actually makes money from apps. Apparently someone does, I answered, pulling up the official acquisition page on my phone and sliding it across the table. Their reflections shimmered on the screen beneath the title. Founder and CEO Mia Carter. Dad's face hardened. You went behind our backs. You've embarrassed us. No, Dad, I said quietly. You embarrassed yourselves when you mocked me online. Mom blinked quickly. We didn't mean. I know, I said. You never mean it until there's a price to pay. My brother finally looked up, panic creeping across his face. Mia, about that video. Oh, don't worry, I replied evenly. You'll have plenty of time to delete it. After people stop asking why your family publicly mocked a millionaire. Their phones buzzed again, this time with my picture added to the headline. My brother went pale. Investors love the story, I murmured. Turns out nothing spreads faster than poetic irony. I stood and pushed my chair in. Dinner was nice. Next time it's on me. And I meant it. The next morning, my phone rang at 6. Grandpa. Mia. His voice was steady but serious. I saw the papers. Is it true? It's true, I said softly. I sold the company last week. There was a long pause, then a warm chuckle. So that explains why your father looked like he swallowed a lemon at dinner. I couldn't help smiling. He's not thrilled. Good, Grandpa said bluntly. About time someone in this family made him uncomfortable. You've worked hard and I'm proud of you. Those words struck deeper than any amount of money ever could. Then his expression changed, calm, deliberate, that familiar shift he always had right before taking action. Mia, your parents just called, he said. They want to come over and talk about the family finances. Of course they do, I murmured. I told them to stop by tomorrow, he went on. And you should be here. I paused. Why? Because I'm revising my will, he replied plainly. And I want them to hear the details straight from me. My heartbeat landed in one hard, clean thump. You're serious? As serious as it gets, he said. I may be old, but I'm not oblivious. You earned your own success, Mia. It's time this family understands what real value looks like. Right then, I knew whatever was coming next wasn't only about inheritance. It was about setting things right. The next afternoon, I walked into Grandpa's estate. The air felt thick, charged, like the moment right before a storm breaks. My mom, Dad, and brother were already sitting in the sunroom, rigid smiles plastered on their faces, pretending this was just a friendly visit. Grandpa sat in his usual chair, cane propped beside him, a heavy folder resting on the table. Good, he said when he saw me. Everyone's here. Mom immediately jumped in. Dad, about the will. He lifted his hand. You'll speak when I'm finished. I'd never seen her fall silent so quickly. He opened the folder, revealing legal papers and property deeds. I've watched this family for years, he began. Pride where gratitude should be. Entitlement where there should have been effort. His eyes locked on my parents. And cruelty where love was supposed to live. Dad shifted in his seat. Dad, that's unfair. Unfair. Grandpa snapped. I watched you humiliate your own daughter on the internet. For what? To feel powerful? To impress a son who's never worked a real job a day in his life? My brother stared at the floor. Grandpa's tone softened as he turned to me. Mia, I watched how you handled everything. With grace instead of revenge. You built something genuine. You earned respect. Then he signed the final page. As of today, Mia receives the estate, the beach house, and full authority over the family trust. Mom gasped. Dad's face drained of color. Mia, Grandpa said, sliding the pen toward me, sign here. Let's make it official. For once, none of them had anything to say. The silence after Grandpa's announcement was suffocating. Dad's jaw tightened until a vein pulsed at his temple. Dad, this is ridiculous, he snapped. You can't just hand everything to her. Grandpa stayed completely calm. I can, and I already have. Mom's voice cracked. Mia doesn't need any of this. She has her own money. Exactly, Grandpa said, leaning closer. That's why she deserves it. She never expected a cent. My brother scoffed. And what about me? You can't just cut us out. Grandpa's eyes narrowed. You're the one who posted that video, aren't you? My brother froze. I may be old, Grandpa continued, but not too old to understand the internet. You mocked your sister while she quietly built her own fortune. You wanted people to watch her fall. Now they'll watch her rise. Mom turned to me, panic creeping into her voice. Mia, please say something. Tell him you don't want this. I met her gaze, steady and calm. You're right. I don't want this. I paused. I earned this. Dad slammed his palm against the table. You'll regret that arrogance. I smiled faintly. The only thing I regret is letting you decide my worth for so long. Grandpa let out a small laugh. There she is, the real Carter. And in that instant, I understood something. Revenge didn't need shouting. It just needed an audience. 2 weeks later, Grandpa's decision became official. The will was recorded, the properties transferred, the trust placed under my name. Dad called nonstop. Mom sent long, emotional messages stuffed with guilt and half-hearted apologies. My brother vanished online, deleting every trace of the video, but it didn't matter. The internet never forgets. One evening, I drove to the family's beach property, the same one they once joked would go to the truly successful child. The ocean glittered in the golden light as I unlocked the gate. The same gate they once told me I had no right to touch. A construction team waited outside, the same company that used to take jobs from my father. Their foreman approached nervously. Ma'am, we received new instructions. Full restoration, no additions. That's right, I said, handing him the signed ownership documents. Everything stays exactly as it was, untouched, unaltered. Inside, my footsteps echoed through the empty halls. Every room still carried the ghosts of their arrogance, and now, my quiet victory. I stepped onto the balcony, watching the waves roll in, and called Grandpa. It's beautiful, I told him. He chuckled. Then it's finally yours, the way it always should have been. I looked out at the horizon, wind brushing through my hair. They tried to measure my value in money, I whispered. But I built something they could never buy peace.